Imagine, if you will, a man wandering through a vast forest. He stumbles upon a clearing where a beautiful bird, a golden bird, perches on a branch. The bird sings a song so enchanting that the man decides there and then that he must capture it. He believes fervently that this bird holds the key to his happiness. So he chases it. He runs after it with all his might, but the bird is always just out of reach, always a few steps ahead, fluttering from tree to tree, exhausted. The man eventually falls to the ground, defeated. The bird flies away, and he is left alone, bewildered and more miserable than when he started. This, my friends, is the tale of happiness that many of us live out every day. We are that man, and happiness is the elusive golden bird. We chase it through the various avenues of life: wealth, status, pleasure, recognition, believing that if we can only catch it, if we can only hold it in our hands, we will be content. Yet time and again, it slips through our fingers, leaving us weary, disillusioned, and emptier than before. But what if I told you that the very act of chasing happiness is what keeps it forever out of your grasp? What if I suggested that this frantic pursuit is, in fact, the root of our dissatisfaction? And what if, instead of chasing happiness, we focused our efforts on something else, something more substantial, more enduring, more real? You see, the modern world has sold us a great lie. It tells us that happiness is the ultimate goal of life, that if we are not happy, we are failing in some fundamental way. It whispers to us that happiness is something to be acquired, like a new piece of furniture or the latest gadget, and that if we do not have it, we must go out and get it by any means necessary. This lie has us all running, striving and struggling, trying to find something that cannot be found in the places we are looking. Happiness, dear friends, is not a thing to be chased. It is not a destination to be reached or a prize to be won. It is not a product of our circumstances, nor is it something that can be purchased or earned. Happiness is a byproduct, a consequence of something far greater, something that demands our full attention, something that lies beyond the shallow pursuits of pleasure and comfort. What is this something, you ask? It is a life lived with purpose. It is the pursuit of truth, the cultivation of virtue, the commitment to something larger than oneself. It is in this pursuit, this devotion to higher things, that happiness finds us, often when we least expect it. It comes not because we sought it out, but because we forgot about it entirely, lost as we were in the joy of living a meaningful life. Let us consider for a moment the nature of happiness itself. Happiness, as most people understand it, is a fleeting emotion, a momentary sensation that comes and goes with the changing tides of life. It is the joy of a new experience, the satisfaction of a job well done, the warmth of a loved one's embrace. These are all good things, to be sure, but they are temporary, transient. They do not last, and so if we base our lives on the pursuit of these fleeting moments, we will find ourselves forever chasing after the wind, never able to hold on to the happiness we so desperately seek. But there's another kind of happiness, a deeper, more profound joy that is not dependent on our external circumstances. This joy is rooted in the soul, in the very essence of who we are. It is the joy that comes from living in alignment with our true nature, from fulfilling our purpose, from becoming the people we were meant to be. This joy is not something we chase. It is something we cultivate, something we nurture through the choices we make and the lives we lead. So, how do we cultivate this deeper joy? How do we live in such a way that happiness becomes a natural byproduct of our existence? First, we must stop looking for happiness outside of ourselves. We must recognize that no amount of wealth, success, or pleasure will ever satisfy the deepest longings of our hearts. These things, though they may bring momentary pleasure, are ultimately hollow. They cannot fill the void within us because they are not meant to. The purpose of life is not to accumulate, but to grow, to develop, to become. And how do we grow? We grow by seeking the truth, by aligning ourselves with the reality of the world and our place in it. We grow by cultivating virtue, by striving to be good, to be just, to be wise, to be courageous. We grow by committing ourselves to something larger than our own comfort or pleasure, by dedicating our lives to a cause, a mission, a purpose that transcends our individual desire. It is in this pursuit of truth and virtue, in this commitment to a higher purpose, that we find true fulfillment, and it is in this fulfillment that happiness arises, not as a goal in itself, but as a natural consequence of living well. Consider, if you will, the life of a farmer. The farmer does not plant seeds in the soil with the primary goal of experiencing the joy of the harvest. No, the farmer plants seeds because it is his duty, his vocation. He works the land because it is what he was born to do. He rises early, toils in the sun, faces the uncertainties of weather and season, not for the fleeting pleasure of reaping the fruits of his labor, but because this is his life, his calling. And yet, when the harvest does come, the joy he feels is not just the happiness of having food on his table, but the deep, abiding satisfaction of knowing that he has fulfilled his purpose, that he has done what he was meant to do. So it is with us. When we live with purpose, when we commit ourselves to something greater than our own happiness, we find that happiness comes to us naturally, like the harvest comes to the farmer. It is the result of living in harmony with who we are, of fulfilling the role we were given in this vast and mysterious world. But what, you may ask, is our role? What is our purpose? How do we know what we were meant to do? This, my friends, is the great question of life, the question that each of us must answer for ourselves. But there are clues, hints, signs that point us in the right direction. One clue is found in our passion, our interest, the things that light a fire in our heart. These passions are not random. They are the echoes of our true selves, calling us to become who we were meant to be. If you love to create, then perhaps your purpose lies in the realm of art, or invention, or building. If you have a passion for justice, then maybe your role is to fight for the oppressed, to stand up for what is right. If you are drawn to the mysteries of the universe, then perhaps your purpose is to explore, to discover, to learn. Another clue is found in our gifts, our talents, the abilities that come naturally to us. These gifts are not accidents. They are the tools we have been given to fulfill our purpose. If you have a talent for teaching, then perhaps you are meant to guide others, to share knowledge, to inspire. If you have a gift for leadership, then maybe your role is to lead, to organize, to bring people together for a common cause. If you are blessed with the ability to listen, to understand, to empathize, then perhaps your purpose is to heal, to counsel, to support those in need. But the most important clue, the one that ties all the others together, is found in love. Not the shallow, sentimental love that is so often portrayed in novels and plays, but the deep, selfless love that seeks the good of others, that gives without expecting anything in return. This love is the foundation of our purpose, a core of who we are meant to be. It is in loving others, in serving them, in sacrificing for them, that we find our true purpose, our true joy. And it is in this love that we find the secret of happiness. For happiness, true happiness, is not found in the pursuit of pleasure, but in the pursuit of love. When we love, when we give of ourselves, when we forget ourselves in the service of others, we discover a joy that is far deeper, far more enduring than anything we could have imagined. This is the great paradox of life. The more we seek happiness, the more it eludes us. But the more we forget about happiness and focus on living well, the more happiness comes to us, unbidden, unexpected, as a gift. So let us stop chasing happiness. Let us stop looking for it in the fleeting pleasures of this world. Let us instead turn our attention to something greater, something more enduring. Let us seek the truth, cultivate virtue, commit ourselves to a higher purpose, and above all, let us love. For it is in this pursuit, this commitment to living well, that we find the happiness that we've been seeking all along. Not because we chased it, but because we forgot about it entirely, lost as we were in the joy of living a meaningful, purposeful life. Imagine now that same man in the forest. He is no longer chasing the golden bird. Instead, he has decided to tend to the forest itself. He waters the trees, plants new seeds, nurtures the life around him, and as he does so, he begins to notice something miraculous. The golden bird, the very one he had once chased so desperately, starts to visit him. It perches on the branch above him as he works, singing its beautiful song. It is no longer something to be caught, but something to be enjoyed. a companion on his journey, a reminder of the joy that comes when we stop chasing and start living. This, my friends, is the life we're called to live. A life not of frantic pursuit, but of peaceful purpose. A life not of chasing happiness, but of creating it through our actions, our choices, our love. A life where happiness is not the goal, but the result of living well, of being true to ourselves, of fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. So let us go forth, not in search of happiness, but in search of truth, of virtue, of love. Let us live with purpose, with passion, with dedication to something greater than ourselves. And as we do, let us trust that happiness will come, not because we sought it out, but because it was the natural consequence of a life well lived. This is the way to true happiness. This is the path that leads to the joy that endures, the joy that cannot be taken from us, the joy that comes from knowing that we have lived as we were meant to live, that we have done what we were meant to do, that we have loved as we were meant to love. So stop chasing the golden bird. Instead, tend to the forest of your life. Plant seeds of kindness, water the trees of virtue, nurture the life around you. And in time, you will find that the golden bird comes to you, not as something to be caught, but as a companion, a friend, a reminder of the happiness that comes when we live with purpose, when we love with all our hearts, when we forget ourselves and lose ourselves in the joy of living well. Now, envision that we stand at the crossroads of our lives, facing the vast expanse of possibilities before us. Every path we could take stretches out, each one marked by the choices we make daily. These choices, seemingly small and inconsequential, weave together to form the tapestry of our lives. Some of us might be tempted to choose the path that promises the quickest route to happiness, a road lined with pleasures, comforts, and distractions. But if we pause for a moment and truly consider the destination, we might realize that this path, though alluring, is not the one that will lead us to the fulfillment we seek. Instead, there's another path, one that is often less traveled, less obvious, yet infinitely more rewarding. This is the path of meaning, of purpose, of dedication to something that transcends the self. It is not an easy road. It's often strewn with obstacles, challenges, and trials. It demands effort, sacrifice, and perseverance. But it is on this path that we truly grow, that we become the people we were always meant to be. Let us consider for a moment the nature of this growth. Growth, as we know, is not a comfortable process. It requires us to step outside of our comfort zones, to face our fears, to push beyond our limits. It is in the struggle, in the overcoming, that we become stronger, wiser, more capable. This is true in every aspect of life, whether it be physical, intellectual, or spiritual growth. And yet so often we shy away from this struggle, preferring instead the path of least resistance, the path that offers immediate gratification rather than lasting fulfillment. But therein lies the secret. The path of struggle is not a detour from happiness. It is in many ways the very road that leads to it. When we face challenges head-on, when we confront our difficulties with courage and determination, we find a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride in what we have achieved. This sense of accomplishment is not the fleeting happiness of a momentary pleasure, but a deep, abiding satisfaction that comes from knowing we have grown, we have improved, we have overcome. Let us delve deeper into the idea of purpose. Purpose is not a destination. It is a direction. It is not something we achieve once and for all, but something we live out every day, in every choice we make, in every action we take. Purpose is what gives our lives meaning. It is what drives us forward, what keeps us going even when the road is difficult, even when the rewards are not immediately apparent. Now, some might ask, how do we find this purpose? How do we know what we are meant to do with our lives? The answer is not always clear, and it is different for each of us. But one thing is certain. Purpose is not something that is handed to us on a silver platter. It is something we must discover for ourselves, through exploration, through experience, through trial. Consider, if you will, the process of discovery. Discovery, by its very nature, involves uncertainty, risk, and the possibility of failure. When explorers set out to chart unknown territories, they do so without any guarantees. They face the unknown with nothing but their courage and determination to guide them. And yet, it is in this very uncertainty, in this willingness to venture into the unknown, that they find new lands, new opportunities, new possibilities. So it is with us. When we set out to discover our purpose, we must be willing to take risks, to face uncertainty, to step into the unknown. We must be willing to try new things, to explore new ideas, to venture down new paths. And in doing so, we may stumble, we may fall, we may fail. But each failure, each stumble is not a defeat, but a lesson, a step forward on the path to discovery. As we pursue our purpose, we begin to realize that it's not a single grandiose mission, but a series of small, everyday acts that add up to something greater. Purpose is found in the choices we make each day, in how we treat others, in the work we do, in the way we spend our time. It is found in the dedication to our craft, in the commitment to our relationships, in the care we take in every task we undertake. And as we live out our purpose, we find that happiness is not something we need to chase, but something that comes to us naturally. It is the joy of knowing that we are living in alignment with our true selves, that we are fulfilling the role we were meant to play in this. It is the satisfaction of knowing that our lives have meaning, that we are part of a larger purpose. But let us not forget that purpose is not static. It is dynamic, evolving as we grow, as we change, as we learn more about ourselves and the world around us. What we may see as our purpose today may shift as we gain new insights, as we encounter new experiences. This evolution is not a sign of indecision or inconsistency, but of growth, of deepening understanding, of becoming more attuned to our true self. In this evolution, we must remain open, flexible, willing to adapt to new circumstances, new information, new possibilities. We must not cling too rigidly to a fixed idea of what our purpose should be, but allow it to unfold naturally, in its own time, in its own way. This requires humility, the recognition that we do not have all the answers, that we are still learning, still growing, still discovering. As we embrace this journey of discovery, we find that purpose is not a burden, but a source of strength, a source of energy, a source of joy. It is what gives us the resilience to face life's challenges, the perseverance to keep going when times are tough, the courage to pursue our dreams even when the odds are against us. Purpose is what fuels our passion, what drives our creativity, what inspires us to be the best versions of ourselves. As we continue on this journey, we begin to see that happiness is not the goal of life, but the result of living in accordance with our highest values, our deepest beliefs. It is not something we chase after, but something that comes to us as a natural consequence of living well, of being true to who we are, of fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. Let us then embrace this journey, this path of purpose, of virtue, of growth. Let us commit ourselves to the pursuit of excellence, to the cultivation of character, to the discovery of our true purpose. And as we do, let us trust that happiness will come, not because we sought it, but because we lived in such a way that it could not help but find us. In this way, we find that life is not about chasing after fleeting moments of pleasure, but about creating a life of meaning, of purpose, of substance. It is about living with intention, with dedication, with passion. It is about becoming the people we were always meant to be, about fulfilling the role we were given in this vast and mysterious world. And as we live in this way, we find that happiness is not something we need to search for, but something that is already within us, waiting to be uncovered, waiting to be realized, waiting to be lived. It is the natural result of living well, of being true to ourselves, of fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. So let us go forth, not in pursuit of happiness, but in pursuit of a life well lived. Let us commit ourselves to the path of purpose, of virtue, of growth, and as we do, let us trust that happiness will come, not because we chased it, but because it was the natural consequence of living in accordance with our highest values, our deepest beliefs, our truest selves. This is the path that leads to true happiness. This is the way to a life of meaning, of purpose, of fulfillment. This is the journey we are all called to embark. And as we walk this path, let us remember that happiness is not something we need to chase, but something that comes to us as we live in alignment with who we are, with what we believe, with the purpose for which we were created. Let's delve even further into the essence of what it means to live a life of true purpose, where fulfillment is not merely an abstract concept, but a tangible reality that we can experience every day. This is not a life characterized by the relentless pursuit of ephemeral pleasures or the shallow satisfaction derived from external achievements. Instead, it is a life rooted in a deep understanding of who we are and what we are here to do. To truly grasp this, we must shift our focus from the outward manifestations of success to the inner workings of our souls. The world often tells us that success is measured by the accumulation of wealth, power, or status. But these are merely symbols, shadows of something much deeper. They are the byproducts, not the essence, of a life well lived. True success is found in the cultivation of our inner lives, in the development of our character, in the alignment of our actions with our values. Imagine, if you will, a craftsman at work. His hands are worn, his tools are simple, but his skill is unmatched. He is not motivated desire to sell his wares for a high price or to gain the admiration of others. Instead, he is driven by a passion for his craft, by a love for the process of creation itself. Each stroke of his chisel, each turn of his lathe is an act of devotion, a reflection of his commitment to excellence. The finished product is not just an object. It is a testament to his dedication, his care, his skill. It is a reflection of who he is. In much the same way, our lives are our masterpieces, the sum of countless choices, actions, and decisions. Every decision we make, every action we take, is a stroke on the canvas of our lives. The question we must ask ourselves is not, what will this bring me? But what does this say about who I am? Are we, like the craftsman, committed to the pursuit of excellence, to the creation of something beautiful, meaningful, and true? Or are we simply going through the motions driven by external pressures and fleeting desires? This brings us to the idea of integrity. Integrity is not just about being honest or keeping our promises, though these are important aspects of it. Integrity is about wholeness, about being fully ourselves in every situation, about living in a way that is consistent with our deepest values and beliefs. It is about being the same person in private as we are in public, about aligning our actions with our principles, about ensuring that our outer lives reflect our inner conviction. To live with integrity is to live without compromise. It is to refuse to cut corners, to resist the temptation to take the easy way out. It is to stand firm in the face of adversity, to hold fast to our values even when it is difficult. This is not easy. It requires strength, courage, and a deep sense of self-awareness. But it is this very difficult that makes integrity so powerful, so transformative. When we live with integrity, we are not just living for ourselves. We are living for something greater, something more enduring, something that transcends the transient concerns of the moment. In cultivating creativity, we also cultivate our sense of wonder, our ability to see the world with fresh eyes, to appreciate the beauty, the complexity, the mystery of life. Wonder is not just about being amazed by the extraordinary. It is about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, about seeing the world as a place full of possibilities, full of potential, full of opportunities for discovery and growth. It is about being fully present, fully engaged, fully alive in every moment. As we cultivate creativity and wonder, we also deepen our connection to the world around us, to the people we share it with, to the natural world that sustains us. This connection is not just a matter of intellectual understanding. It is a matter of the heart, of the soul. It is about recognizing our interdependence, our shared humanity, our place in the larger web of life. It is about feeling a deep sense of responsibility, not just for us, but for others, for the world, for the future. This sense of responsibility is at the heart of what it means to live a life of purpose. Responsibility is not just about fulfilling our obligations or meeting our duties. It is about taking ownership of our lives, of our choices, of our action. It is about recognizing that we have the power to make a difference, that our actions matter, that we have a role to play in the unfolding story of the world. Responsibility is about being accountable, not just to others, but to us, to our own principles, to our own sense of what is right and good. When we embrace responsibility, we also embrace our power to effect change, to make a positive impact. to contribute to the well-being of others in the world. This power is not about control or domination. It is about service, about using our talents, our skills, our resources to benefit others, to build a better world. It is about being stewards of the gifts we have been given, about using those gifts to make a difference, to create something meaningful, something lasting, something good. As we take on this responsibility, we also recognize the importance of humility. Humility is not about thinking less of us. It is about thinking of ourselves less. It is about recognizing our limitations, our fallibility, our dependence on others. It is about being open to learning, to growth, to change. Humility is about being willing to listen, to seek advice, to admit when we are wrong, to learn from our mistake. It is about being willing to serve, to put the needs of others before our own, to contribute to something greater than ourselves. Humility is closely linked to gratitude. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It is about recognizing the abundance in our lives, about appreciating the gifts we've been given, about being mindful of the many blessings we enjoy. Gratitude is about being aware of the beauty, the goodness, the kindness that surrounds us, about being thankful for the opportunities we have, the people who support us, the experiences that enrich our lives. It is about cultivating a sense of appreciation, a sense of wonder, a sense of joy in the simple things, the everyday moments, the small acts of kindness that make life meaningful. Gratitude also helps us to maintain perspective, to keep our focus on what truly matters, to avoid getting caught up in the trivial, the superficial, the transient. It reminds us that life is a gift, that each day is an opportunity, that we have much to be thankful for. It helps us to stay grounded, to stay centered, to stay connected to our values, our principles, our purpose. As we cultivate gratitude, we also cultivate generosity. Generosity is not just about giving material goods. It is about giving of ourselves, our time, our energy, our attention. It is about being willing to share what we have, to help those in need, to contribute to the well-being of others. Generosity is about being open-hearted, about being willing to give without expecting anything in return, about being willing to serve without seeking recognition or reward. Generosity, like gratitude, is a habit, a way of being, a way of living. It is something we cultivate through practice, through intentionality, through the choices we make every day. It is about making a conscious decision to be kind, to be compassionate, to be supportive. It is about being willing to put the needs of others before our own, to give of ourselves freely, joyfully, generously. In living a life of generosity, we find that we are not diminished by our giving, but enriched. We find that in serving others, we discover a deeper sense of purpose, a greater sense of fulfillment, a more profound sense of joy. We find that in giving, we receive. In helping, we are helped. In supporting, we are supported. Generosity, like gratitude, opens our hearts, deepens our connections, strengthens our communities. As we embrace these principles, integrity, resilience, creativity, wonder, responsibility, humility, gratitude, generosity, we begin to see that they are not just abstract concepts, but practical tools for living a life. They are the building blocks of a life well lived, the foundation upon which true happiness is built. They are the means by which we create a life of meaning, of substance, of fulfillment. This is not a life that is measured by external achievements or material success, but by the quality of our character, the depth of our relationships, the impact of our actions. It is a life that is lived with intention. It is a life that is rooted in the pursuit of excellence, in the cultivation of virtue, in the service of others. It is a life that is true to who we are, to what we believe, to the purpose for which we were created. And as we live this life, we find that happiness is not something we to chase, but something that comes to us naturally as a result of living well, of being true to ourselves. Happiness is not the goal of life, but the byproduct of a life well lived, of a life dedicated to the pursuit of truth, of virtue, of love. It is the natural consequence of living in alignment with our highest values, our deepest beliefs. This, then, is the path to true happiness, a path that is not about chasing after fleeting pleasures, but about creating a life of meaning, of purpose, of fulfillment. It is a path that requires us to be fully engaged, fully present. It is a path that calls us to be the best versions of ourselves, to live with integrity, with resilience, with creativity, with wonder, with responsibility, with humility, with gratitude, with generosity. As we walk this path, we discover that happiness is not something we find at the end of the journey, but something we experience along the way, in the everyday moments, in the small acts of kindness, in the simple joys of living well. It is a happiness that is not dependent on external circumstances, but rooted in the quality of our inner lives, in the depth of our connections, in the strength of our character. This is the way to a life of true fulfillment, a life of purpose, a life of lasting joy. And it is a path that is open to each of us, if we are willing to walk it, if we are willing to live with intention, with dedication, with passion. This is the path that leads to true happiness, a happiness that is not fleeting, but enduring, a happiness that is not superficial, but profound, a happiness that is not about what we have, but about who we are and how we live,